CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success.
Hey, we're live from Streamline Conferences in Greenville, South Carolina. You're on CMMS Radio, and we're about to talk to Zen Zokniak. And he is with Hexagon EAM, Hexagon Asset Lifecycle Intelligence. And we're going to get into a few things about what he does in his role. So first of all, Zen, welcome to CMMS Radio.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we talked a little bit last night, and I kind of told you ahead of time that I want to know a little bit about your background and how you got in your journey to Hexagon, and then after that, we're going to dive in on some stuff.
All right, sounds good. So, like you said, my name is Zen Zokniak. I'm currently the public sector industry strategist for Hexagon. I've been working within the public sector specifically for well over 25 years now, all around technology implementations. I spend a bulk of my time as a systems integrator, building out custom solutions, cloud migrations, data center migrations, all around IT and how they can benefit the public sector. And so I'm happy to be here at Hexagon. I was at Hexagon for a while. I left to start up another SI, and then I came back. There's a reason why you come back to Hexagon, and happy to be here to talk to you about it.
Yeah, it's like coming home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and last night, one of the other things we were talking about is a little bit about these kind of differences about the public sector in that they have different drivers and different needs, and a lot of people think they're the same as other industries, but they're really not. They're kind of unique in the way that not only that they operate, what they require, but there's this big thing that's happening now, like finally they're digging in hard on infrastructure, right? And improving infrastructure in many different ways, whether it's the facilities themselves, the systems themselves. So I kind of wanted to just throw that at you and see if you could educate us a little bit on what those drivers are, why they're unique, and that people shouldn't think of them as just the same as everyone else.
Yeah, there's definitely several different reasons why the public sector and doing business with the public sector is different than the commercial sector. And that's why you'll see separate public sector lines in most other technology organizations because of those uniquenesses. First of all, the public sector isn't driven by profit or return on investment, right? They're driven by providing efficiencies and operations to their taxpayers, their constituents. And they have to prove to them that they're spending their money wisely because it's not theirs. To be able to do that, a lot of times within a public sector organization, you do have a hierarchy, but oftentimes everything is done by committee. So you don't have the ultimate CIO that's going to go, I'm going to write a contract on a Post-it note and go out and do it, and you can get it done that way. You have to have the checks and balances to make sure that you're doing everything appropriately. So that's one of the differences. The other difference is how they actually procure. So they procure things in a different way than the commercial sector entity. They use a lot of contract vehicles that are out there. So there's a lot of terms that people in the commercial sector wouldn't know. Like, oh yeah, we buy off GSA 70. Like, people don't know what a lot of these things are. So you have to understand how to talk to the public sector and understand how they are actually going to purchase products. They use a lot of communal different contract vehicles that are just totally unique and outside of the realm of the commercial sector.
Yeah, I think, and for a lot of folks out there that work with and serve the public sector as a provider of these systems and technologies like EAM and some of the other products that are included in those offerings, I think they really don't understand how to work with the government, and they're intimidated by it. You have to go through a lot of what we might call loopholes, and things take time, and it's not a hurried process. It's an intentional process because of that accountability, right? They have to have lots of checks and balances in how they move forward with those technologies, and they're not necessarily taking that approach. You already explained it to us where, hey, what's the ROI on this? It's about something else. It's a bigger, much more kind of long-term, they're looking out into the future. And I think they're often misunderstood with, other providers out there that might treat them differently. In other words, they don't understand the public sector as much as they like to think that they do.
Yeah, in this role as the industry strategist, I have to understand how that process works. And it's different for every organization, every state, every agency. There's always going to have a little bit of a uniqueness there. There might be oversight agencies that need to be involved, that need to approve it. It has to go to an Office of Management Budget that's completely outside of the structure that's there. And because of that, it does take a long time. But what I'm here to try to do is I try to assist our sales organization to build a champion within that organization that can understand, all right, well, here's not your return on investment or here's your profit. Here's what you can articulate to your management about the efficiencies you're going to obtain in your operations by leveraging a product like Hexagon EAM, which is really important to do because they have a hard time articulating it too. So we have to educate them on the technology and what that actually means for those benefits. So they can take that to all these other oversight agencies and management and get sign-offs and go through that process, which can frankly take 3 to 5 years sometimes.
And the more you do it, and you've done it a lot, the better you get at it. And what I think I mean by the better you get at it is, there are no shortcuts. There is a process, and you know how to follow it without forcing it. And I think, so it's not so much about selling it, it's about following their process. And I wonder, a question I have, because the product offering at EAM is pretty wide. There's breadth and depth to it. And I'm kind of curious, what are some of the technologies or products that are really of interest and benefit to the public sector? Normally I don't get too much into product and features, but I'd love to hear it from you because of where you sit, because that's part of that strategy. And I think it would be fascinating to hear about some of those products or specific things and what they're solving for.
Yeah, because there are specific business problems and they are unique to public sector. But before I get into that, what I like to say, instead of selling, I'm facilitating buying. So they have to go through the process. I help facilitate. We have to be very responsive, get whatever they need, whatever oversight agencies need additional information, all the security protocols that are built into our products and all of that stuff. So it's really facilitating buying. But for public sector, we're here at Streamline, so everyone knows EAM. There are a lot of other solutions that are specific that public sector would use. Hexagon has a lot of solutions that public sector will probably never use. So, for example, a lot of their design organizations, they usually contract that out. So they're not going to need our design tools. The contractor would. But we do have a solution called Project Mates, which facilitates the handoff from build into EAM immediately, right? So that way your design build firm is putting in their information into Project Mates, either through APIs with Procore, and then that automatically gets fed into EAM, because ultimately, once you take ownership of that operation within EAM, if that information is not correct or is not up to date or complete, that operations will be paying for it. And so
I like that you brought up Project Mates, because I learned about it at Hexagon Live, and I got to see some of it and talk to them a little bit. So now, are there other products that are centric and kind of particular for the public sector?
Yeah, there's a couple more. And what I'm discovering when I'm talking to our existing EAM customers, including the ones that are here this week, is that they're not aware of some of the other products. And so we do have a purpose-built procedure document management system called AKMS. And people are like, oh, I can actually use this system to manage all of my complex procedures. And so right now, public sector still has this stuff in file cabinets, right? It's on Post-it notes on somebody's locker. So they need a way to be able to do that, and this is purpose-built for that. And then we also have an operations shift handover solution called J5, which is, will allow you to take your information from the work you're doing in your operations and hand it off to somebody else. And that's really one of the other main goals of public sector, is really safety, right? You don't want bad information going over to a worker and all of a sudden there's a problem.
J5, I was talking to Alex Bolin with Digital Thinker, and they happened to be the ones that put this excellent conference together. And he's always pumped about it because there's a usability aspect to it, and it's also super affordable to push and drive adoption along those lines. Is that something that you see from that particular product offering?
Yeah, especially anyone that has a 24/7 operation. So if you're looking at the public sector customers, the other thing that's unique about it is it actually goes across multiple different verticals. So you have your transit agencies, your Department of Transportation, your water authorities, your airports, your seaports, large universities, facilities, parks departments that have a whole bunch of assets. So all of these things can be viewed as unique industries underneath the public sector umbrella.
Yeah, and it's big. I remember back in my day, I'd be looking at like SIC codes and some of the other things you mentioned earlier. I think it was it GSA 70? Mm-hmm. It's overwhelming for people that don't understand it, and I think if they are trying to enter that space, they should be careful if they don't know what they're doing. It's going to take time.
Yeah, and another thing is we do rely on a lot of systems integrator partners that are out there, because one of the other unique things with public sector is they often have pre-registered people to do work. And the scope of public sector is so large, we can't possibly imagine that we will be registered on everybody's contracts to be able to do business. So we do need to rely on systems integrators. So if there's any other SIs out there that are interested to be able to implement our software, we're always looking for help, because we need people with relationships, with contract vehicles, and the ability to be successful in the implementation.
If they want to do that, would they reach out to Digital Thinker and then start working through that, or would they go direct to you? Would they work with a Levotech? Like, how would that work if somebody wants to reach out?
I think you could reach direct out to me, just because I don't think the volume is going to be too high, and I'll put them into contact with the appropriate people. But covering in this role as the public sector strategist for the U.S. and Canada, I think that's a good appropriate route.
Yeah, and I think, ideally, people should reach out no matter what, just to learn about it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think about your integration partners. You guys have a strong ecosystem, and I wonder if there's any of those that you want to shout out by name.
See, then I'm going to forget someone. You'll put me on the spot. But
all right,
yeah,
you don't have to do that then. But for people, if they want to learn about who those system integrators are that they might know, would they find that on the website?
Yes.
Okay, good. I want to do some fun questions.
Sure.
First thing I want to ask, though, is one that I don't typically ask on the fun question segment, but I want to ask you, so far, your first experience at Streamline, how has it been for you, and what's your favorite part of it?
My favorite part was we have our experts here in multiple of our different solutions, or even some of our partners, too, that were here. And so, that was one thing I wanted to call out, just thinking about partners real quick, is that we have technology partners too. So we're a technology partner with AWS, we're a Silver Innovation partner with Workday, and we have pre-built integrations for Esri, which is the de facto GIS for public sector, which is why I want to bring that up. And Workday and AWS are actually rapidly becoming public sector powerhouses. So then what was your question again?
Well, I wanted to get kind of your personal view on what your experience has been here at Streamline, like what your favorite part of it has been.
Right. So that's where I'm talking to customers, and they outline there's a challenge that's there, and I don't have the answer, but I have the expert right next to me. So I can connect them and immediately provide information. I've done that on several occasions here, where somebody had a question and about an integration, or how a moving to the cloud would work, which is right now public sector is at the precipice and just starting their SaaS journeys, and so we're seeing a lot of traction there. So that's going to be a really big one moving forward for the next 5 years.
All right, man, and we'll do this again next year, but I want to have you go through the fun question segment. You cool with that?
Sure.
All right, no wrong answers on any of this stuff, and you just kind of fire at will each one of them. First one, what is your favorite music?
All right, I'm going to go with my favorite karaoke song, Chaperone Pink Pony Club.
All right, man. I've never heard that one, man. Second fun question, what is your favorite sport or hobby? And on sport, it doesn't have to be one you play. It could be one you like to root for.
Pinball. Pinball.
Pinball. Now, let's stop for a second because somebody put a bug in my ear that I should talk to you a little bit about pinball. Why?
So I'm passionate about pinball. I am a internationally ranked professional pinball player. Not the best in the world, but I'm pretty good. I'm also passionate about assets and asset management. And just like any asset-intensive industry and pinball, if there's any busted rail or gate or switch, it's game over.
Yeah, man. Ooh, we're going to talk more about that later. Here's the big one. No wrong answers. What is your philosophy, perspective? Is it even a thing when it comes to this concept of work-life balance?
It's weird. What I don't like anymore is 5 days a week in the office with a tie. I like having the flexibility, and I find that right now I am working from home. I will work a lot more. And when I take off, I like to travel internationally, mostly with my family, and just disconnect. I find that I can manage it fairly effectively.
All right. See, and there's no wrong answers because we each got to handle it our own way, and it's fun for people to learn a little bit about you, especially if they're going to reach out and work with you on this. First of all, I want to thank you for being here with me on CMMS Radio. I also want to thank Hexagon for being our primary sponsor of the Streamline conferences. That's very important. And I know we're not done with the show yet, so you still got some work to do and stuff to do for the next day and a half. Thanks for being on CMMS Radio, Zen.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. This was fun.
You got it, man.
Thanks.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS from selection to implementation to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.